Chapter 19. Adina. I may never see him again. Never see that smile that sneaks out when we are together. Never see that vest that hugs him tightly, just as I wish to right now. Never see that silver streak of hair I find so comforting. Never see if we trip into love together. But, worst of all, I may never get to apologize for missing our date at the fort. It is cold in the dungeons. I suppose that's to be expected. Not that I had planned on experiencing it firsthand anytime soon. The damp wall pressed against my back has me wishing I'd been wearing a sweater when the king summoned me. Or perhaps my cardigan with the lace trim. Though I'd hate to wear it for the first time to the dungeons, with no one but the occasional imperial to admire my handiwork. I shut my eyes against the lone, flickering light beyond my bars and lean a throbbing temple against the stone wall. My stomach has been far chattier than anyone down here, growling with my growing hunger. I peek open an eye to stare at the stale bread tossed carelessly in the corner of my cell. After wincing at the mere thought of moving, I'm viciously biting my tongue as I shift closer. The shackles clamped round my ankles have my eyes stinging, skin tearing like sheer fabric. Rusty metal has rubbed my skin raw, leaving angry red blisters beneath. Taking a shaky breath, I reach for the bread. I know what I'll see. I even squeeze my eyes shut to prolong the inevitable, to pretend this is all a nightmare that Pei will wake me up from. Because she always did. She always found a way to fight off fear, to be strong enough for the both of us. I would feel the brush of her fingers against the uneven bangs I made her cut for me, and the soothing touch was enough to drag me from my dreams. And then we would sit with my head on her shoulder, staring at the stars until they melted into morning. But this is not the fort. And there are no stars in sight or shoulders to rest my pounding head on. I am very much awake and opening my eyes, and the sight of my fingers has me swallowing a sob. I wish they had bound my hands behind my back, if only so I couldn't look at them. I'm not sure why they did it. Or, better yet, why I'm down here in the first place. I screamed when they began breaking my fingers, pleaded despite the pain, begged them to spare the one thing I loved to live for. My fingers are my craft, my comfort, my connection to the past I've managed to survive. And then I cried. It was a silent sort of mourning at first, tears slipping from behind squeezed eyelids. But my composure has never been anything to brag about. It wasn't long before I was sobbing at the sound of my cracking bones and broken dreams. It's only when my outstretched hand grows blurry that I realize I'm crying. Again. It seems that's all I've done since the king ordered me thrown in here. Why is that again? I still haven't puzzled that one out quite yet. Although, I have been rather occupied. Sniffling, I strain towards the bread, sucking in a breath when the chains round my ankles grow taut. The pain of it all is too much. I'm not like Pei. I'm not used to hurting so heavily. I'm used to pricked fingers and sore hands, not an aching body and broken bones. I huff and slump against the wall. It's no big deal, really. I'm used to being hungry. In fact, I don't even want the stale bread. My stomach protests, very loudly. I'm about to remind it that we've suffered longer without food, and to not be so dramatic when the shadows begin speaking. How very odd. Would you keep it down over there? I'm trying to sleep. I startle at the gruff voice and squint into the cell beside me. I didn't say anything. My own voice is hoarse, scratchy like wool. Yeah, the man grumbles. Well, your stomach sure as hell has a lot to say. Yes, I sigh. All of me is quite chatty. My eyes trace the faint outline of a figure tucked into the corner connected to my cell, the corner closest to that dreadful bread. And he might just be able to reach it for me. I'll tell you what, I begin cheerily. If you toss me that bread, my stomach will quiet down. So, we'll both get what we want. I'll eat, you'll sleep. He seems to find this funny, supposing, of course, that the noise coming from him is a laugh. Oh, yeah? And how do you know I won't just take the bread for myself? Well, are you in here for being a thief? No. Worse. Then I'll take my chances, I say lightly. Sounds like you have no experience with thievery. He makes that noise again, the one I'm assuming is laughter. Then he's shifting, sliding bony fingers between the bars in search of my bread. After managing to grab a hold of it, he tosses the loaf over to me with a gruff grunt. It rolls, coming to a stop when it collides with my leg. I smile into the shadows. See, you're no thief. Thank you. I falter at the sight of my fingers. Twisted and broken and useless. The pain is paralyzing. I place a palm atop the loaf, wincing at the pressure. After a moment, I muster up the courage to press the bread between both hands and attempt to lift it towards my mouth. Tears slip down my cheeks, but I take a bite. And another. Each one stale and salty with my tears. What you do, kid? The voice asks, cutting through the sobs I'm choking down along with the bread. A sniffle. I'm a seamstress. I used to be a seamstress. The ghost of a smile lifts my lips. Loot needs all the fashion help it can get. I had a whole little business. My best friend, she's actually in the trials, you know. Well, I frown. I guess you wouldn't know if you've been down here. Anyway, she would get me the fabric and I would sew the clothes. Of course, I always made sure she had first call on anything I made. Oh, but I designed this vest for her with all these pockets because, well, let's just say she did have experience with thievery. No, kid. He sounds annoyed. Damn, you sure do talk a lot, don't you? I mean, what'd you do to end up down here? Oh, your guess is as good as mine, I say, struggling to swallow the tough bread between my teeth. Well, I did try to steal something once. It didn't end well. Pei is still shocked at how terrible a thief I am for being a phaser. I attempt another bite at the loaf. She always says that if she could walk through walls, she'd be unstoppable and very rich. What, they just throw you in here for no reason? He snorts. It's not like you're an ordinary or something. The thought of this being Peyton's fate has my stomach turning. No, I'm definitely an elite. Not that it will help me any in here. I glance at the stones surrounding the cells, feeling the mute suppressing my powers so I can't simply phase through these bars. Something about him feels suddenly serious. I wonder what they're going to do to you. Well, I lift my hands for him to see. There's not much worse they could do. Yeah, he says gruffly. I heard that happen. Sorry for keeping you up then, I say half-heartedly. He chuckles at that, making me smile. So, I drag out the word. What did you do to end up down here, I can feel him watching me. Something that earned me a spot in this dungeon. Unlike you. People can change, I say quietly. Not me. I don't know about that, I say cheerily. Helping a stranger out is probably the first step towards self-improvement. I don't know why, but it feels like he's smiling. What's your name, kid? I'm Adina, but my friend, call me A. He grunts and responds. What's your name? His tone is almost accusatory. Why you want to know? I shrug. Maybe I'm trying to make another friend. I'm not sure why he laughs at that. You don't want to be friends with me, kid. They all end up dying. Well, it sounds like you're in need of some more then. Another rough chuckle. You make a good point, kid. Fine. I'm Al. Al? I repeat. Is that short for something? Wouldn't know if it was, he coughs, nearly choking. Never spoke to my parents. Just been on my own for as long as I can remember. I'm quiet for a long moment, thinking briefly of how I never knew my father. My silence seems to unsettle him into speaking. Yeah, and I got no friends to give me a nickname. Well, I grin in his direction. You do now, eh? Eh? He questions. Isn't that your nickname, kid? From Pei, yes. From you, it sounds like you've settled on kid. He laughs, the sound now making me smile. You're something special. You know that, kid? I toss the rest of the loaf in his direction, watching his hand hesitantly pick it up. Thank you, eh? Heavy footsteps echo off the dungeon walls, drowning out my words. My cell door is swinging open before I'm suddenly swallowed by a swarm of Imperials. 2 of them are yanking me off the ground, careless of my cracked fingers. I cry out, trying to shield my hands from them, and now I'm choking on something. They've gagged me with what feels to be cotton. My protests are muffled as they drag me from the cell and into the hallway. I'm frantic, eyes wide as they meet Al's through the bars beside me. I can just make out his face now, crowded with wrinkles and covered with worry. He shakes his head at me, cowering in his corner. All his friends end up dead. And I'm starting to think I'm not the exception. He turns away from another doomed friend, growing blurry as my eyelids begin to flutter. And then, nothing. Blackness and blinding pain are all I know.
Chapter 20. Makoto. A parade of bodies lines the path to the bowl. The sun beats down on my bent head, slicking me with sweat. I look around, scanning the hundreds of aliens trudging from all directions. It seems that the entirety of the slums has come to see the outcome of this final trial. I feel the press of each power, weighing down my steps. Following the current, I blend in with the bodies surrounding us and continue the trek to the looming arena. Under different circumstances, I would have only been walking for a little more than an hour. But with this crowd and the aggravating ability they possess to walk as slowly as possible, it takes much longer than that. The sun is at its most scalding point in the sky by the time we file towards one of the many tunnels leading into the bowl. The arena is coated in concrete, looking cold and uninviting. Conversations and footfalls echo off the arch of the tunnel we walk through before we are spit out onto the raised ring of pavement above the pit floor. Rows of seats rise towards the sky, filled with thousands of cheering elites. The sheer size of this place is intimidating, let alone what is happening below us in the pit. A giant maze of menacing hedges stretches across the sand, encircling a large opening in the center of it all. I stand there, gawking at the arena as people brush past me in search of a seat. Only then am I reminded that I need to find one of my own, and start striding further down the path. Not only do you have to be the first contestant to reach the middle. The source of this booming voice comes from a large glass box further down the path. The king. I swallow, feeling years of fear come rushing up my tightening throat. I always thought the day I saw the king would be my very last. But there's still time for that. You must also kill the person that awaits you there, he finishes, his eyes on the arena, though irrationality has me worrying that they will find mine. But his words faze me least of all. I'm unsurprised by his willingness to sacrifice a criminal from his dungeons in order to put on a good show. Anything to up the stakes for his contestants. The rest of his speech fades away as I focus on finding the one person I'm here for. Hundreds of powers buzz in my blood, and it's a struggle to suppress them in search of her. I haven't had much practice with the very ability I possess, seeing that I've been forced to hide it my entire life. So I hone in on the first faint phaser I can find. My concentration shatters when the trial begins with a ripple of shouts and slamming of feet against the floor. I watch as the contestants race into the thick foliage towards that center ring. Shutting my eyes, I focus again on that phaser ability. And this time, when it tickles my skin, I latch onto it. I follow the feel of it, eyes searching the stands as I head down the path. It grows stronger, closer with every step. That is, until it doesn't any longer. The power hums faintly beneath my skin, and no matter how far I walk down the path, it never seems to get any stronger. Before I know it, I've circled the entire arena, desperately trying to catch a glimpse of her bright smile in the crowd, maybe a frantic wave of her hands when she sees me coming. Nothing. I stop suddenly, spinning around in the path. Confusion crawls up my throat to escape my mouth in the form of a frustrated sigh. Where the hell are you, Dina? I mumble towards the stands stretching around me. Maybe I've focused on the wrong phaser. Maybe I'm not searching for my Adina, but someone else entirely. So I shut my eyes again, forcing myself to focus. But this power feels familiar, intimate. I'm drawn to it in a way that tells me it can only be her. And it's tugging me to the right. I peek open an eye, finding only the railing to the pit beside me. I huff, shaking my head. Something is clearly wrong with me. Is the mute that lines the stands messing with my ability to simply sense powers? Trying again to feel her, I find myself quickly turning towards the railing once more. I look out into the pit, scanning the foliage and the live footage playing on the screens above it. A flash of silver hair tells me it's Peyton who is currently being recorded running between the hedges. There's that tug again. My gaze sweeps over the scene, landing on the circle of sand at the center of it all. There's a body there, seemingly small and rightfully scared. You must also kill the person that awaits you there. So this is the criminal who was unlucky enough to be thrown from the dungeons and into a far worse fate. I blink at the figure, and then my mouth goes dry. I'm forced to clutch the railing in front of me to stop from sinking to my knees. Because I know that dark hair, those curls that bounce with each terrified turn of her head. I can make out those crooked bangs from where I stand. My shout is swallowed by the roaring crowd. I found her at the center of a trial.
Chapter 21. Adina. It is hot in the pit. Again. I suppose that's to be expected. I wake to the sound of stomping feet. The chanting of thousands has my ears ringing as my senses slowly hum to life. After struggling to blink open my heavy eyelids, I startle at the sight of hedges looming around me. Staggering to my feet proves to be rather difficult, with my wrists now bound behind my back and my ankles bound beneath me. I gawk at the hedges surrounding me, gulp at the sounds coming from beyond the dense foliage. At least I don't have to look at my fingers anymore, though they ache so badly that it's impossible to forget what they look like. I do my best to ignore the image of cracked bones and swollen knuckles that persistently flashes in my mind. I'm dreaming. I must be. This is all just a nightmare. Pei will wake me soon with her fingers sweeping back my sweaty bangs. And then we will sit and stare at the stars from behind our fort. Because that is where I am. That is where I want to be. But that is not this place. This place is hot sand beneath my bare feet and sun trickling down through the vines above my head. This place is a wall of greenery, a cage of foliage folding in on me. This place is foreign and familiar all at once. My eyes widen with realization. This place really is the pit. Why am I in the pit? I can't possibly be in the pit. Today must be the final trial, and did I wake up in the final trial? I couldn't have. I mean, why would I be? I spin in a slow circle, struggling against the shackles binding my ankles together. My head is pounding from whatever it was that knocked me out, making my vision eerily hazy. Thundering feet and growing cheers are my only indication that the trial has begun. So I stand there, stunned and still and silently hoping this is all in my head. Pei will find me. She'll know what to do. She always knows what to do. Sweat rolls down my face. My fingers throb, my head aches, my stomach growls. Time seems to slow. I hear a muffled scream and spin in its direction. That terror couldn't have belonged to Peyton. No, because she's strong and safe and probably standing right beyond those hedges, about to find me. Patience has never been a quality I've possessed. 493. I've started counting the seconds out of sheer boredom. My legs are shaking, feeling unsteady beneath me. 494, 495, 496. I'm not sure what this trial is supposed to be, but I'm pretty sure I have the worst seat. It's difficult to ignore my throbbing fingers, or the nagging thought that I was thrown into this trial for a reason. What could they want with a useless seamstress? 521, 522, 523. Pei will win this. Her prize will be finding me. Shouts echo from every direction, chanting names I can't make out. Do they know I'm here? Do they see me struggling to stay standing? The world begins spinning around second 547. My mouth is so dry I can barely swallow. 552. Any second now. She'll save me any second now. The corners of my vision are creeping in on me, making it feel as though I'm looking through a long tunnel. I just want to wake up so I can see the stars. I'm so dizzy that I almost don't see the figure running towards me. Adina? Her voice cuts through the haze of pain. My Pei has found me. She's bounding towards me, sand flying from her heels. I'm so flooded with relief that I sink to my knees, smiling at her blurry form. Peyton, I shout, attempting to stand, but the look on her face has me faltering. Why does she look so upset? She's won. Maybe I've worried her with my disappearance. The thought has me spewing an apology, frantically trying to make her understand where I've been. Pei, I'm so sorry. This second feels longer than all the ones prior. This one feels like fire. Fatal. Like the beginning of the end. Pain blooms in my chest, burns through my body. I take my time looking down at what is to be the end of me. I blink at the bloody branch that has found its way through my chest, vaguely wondering how it got there. Everything feels dull, muted like the scream that tears from a throat that isn't mine. My eyes slowly find their way to the girl sprinting towards me, watching the scream form on her lips but never hearing it leave them. She catches me before I hit the sand. I'm being cradled in arms I wish I could feel. Fingers are brushing away my bangs, and I manage a smile at the familiar feeling. She's always there to wake me from my nightmares, to push uneven bangs from my eyes. I sense the pain racking my body rather than feel it, like knowing when your heart has broken without needing to feel it shatter. I keep my eyes on her, my strong Pei. She's telling me I'm going to be fine. I know I'm not. I may be dying, but I'm not dumb. She's promising me sticky buns now. Says she'll feed me so many that I'll grow sick of them. We both know that's a lie. My love for sticky buns will die with me. Die. What a silly little word. One I typically associate with the color of my fabrics. How odd it is to assign 3 little letters to the end of my existence. You have to promise me you'll stay. Her muffled words pierce me harder than the branch jutting from my chest. Pei. I take a shaky breath. You know I don't make promises I can't keep. I don't hear much of what she says next. Her tears are splattering my face, though I can't feel them through the blanket of numbness smothering my body. She's just as stubborn as always, denying the death that is so obviously coming to claim me. That is the one thing I do feel. The brush of death's fingers down my face, like a calming caress. I thought I would be frightened of him and the end he's dragging me towards. But it's comforting, in a way, being fully aware that this is the end. Promise you'll wear it for me. The words slip from my mouth, blood quickly following. Through blurry vision, I see the question on her face more than hear it from her lips. The vest, I choke out. The green one with the pockets. Death is shushing me, but I speak over him. The stitching took me ages, and I'd hate for all my hard work to go to waste. It's the last piece of me left. The last physical piece of my passion in life. No. There's Mac. He is my passion in life. And I only wish for them both to wear my vests when I'm gone, tethering them to me for eternity. But I say none of this. She promises. She pleads. She pulls me closer. She's so good. I'm not sure she knows how good she is, how her worth is so much more than what power is or isn't running through her veins. I've never thought of her as anything less than extraordinary. My eyelids grow heavy, but I force them open. I'll have plenty of time to rest when I'm dead. It's peaceful, being pulled into the unknown. But leaving her is anything but. I claw against death, needing to speak one last time. This is not a goodbye. Only a good way to say bye until I see you next. With numb lips, I leave her with that. I wonder if I'll be able to watch over her when I get to wherever death is taking me. He better let me watch over her. The taste of blood is bitter in my mouth, but the smile I muster for her is sweet. And then I count. 1, 2, 3. Death is gentle in a way life never was. I look up into the sky, seeing stars swim in my vision. What a beautiful night in the fort. 4, 5, 6. I'm counting the seconds until I see her next. I'm counting the stars until I see Mac shining beside me. The stars wink at me, welcoming me home. And on second 8, I know nothing.
Chapter 22. Makoto. My heart skips a few several beats, sputtering at the sight of her standing there in the sand. I can't breathe, can't think, can't do anything but stare helplessly at her figure so far away. This can't be right. Adina is the farthest thing from a criminal, the farthest thing from anyone who deserves to die. An Imperial storms by, jostling my shoulder hard enough that I grab his arm. He whips round, temper flaring in his eyes. I've never once gone out of my way to interact with an Imperial, yet here I am, clutching his bicep and growling, "She's not a criminal! Why the hell is she in there?" The man scoffs, shoving me away from him, and if I weren't so shaken, I likely wouldn't have let him. "King's orders, slummer." He bares his teeth in what he thinks is a menacing way. "Grab me again and I'll throw you in there with her." "Well, in that case..." I catch his arm, twisting it out with a jerk that forces a gasp from his lips. He staggers back, eyes wide with hatred. "Why you?" He stops suddenly, and I fear the worst when his eyes narrow. "On second thought, I think you'd be hurting far more if you simply watched her die." My chest heaves at his words, and before I can do something drastic, he spins on his heel and strides away. I'm left staring after him, breath shaky and palms sweaty. I turn back slowly towards the arena, fearing what it is I'll find there. When my eyes land on her, I can just make out the rope binding her wrists behind her back. But it's her fingers I focus on. They look wrong, oddly different to what I memorized from the many hours of watching her sew. I squint, shading my eyes from the blinding sun. And then I'm once again grasping the rail for support. Her fingers are bent, swollen, broken behind her back. Her sewing fingers. They have broken her sewing fingers. Emotion clogs my throat, making it hard to swallow. Those beautiful hands of hers. Those beautiful hands that have cupped my face, created countless pieces of clothing, clapped joyfully at the smallest of things. And now they never will again. I shake my head, fighting the tears that beg to fall. No, this isn't happening. Why would this be happening to her? A blur from the edge of the circle emerges from the foliage. Blinking away unshed tears, I lean over the railing, catching a glimpse of a vaguely familiar figure. Payton. Dangerously, I let hope grab a hold of my heart, forcing it to sputter back to life. If what I know about her is true, then the Silver Savior would never hurt her other half. With that as my only hope, I watch her tear through the sand towards a stumbling Adina. I pray to whatever will listen, beg with every ounce of earnestness, offer my life for hers. And yet, it appears that nothing was listening. Nothing even cared enough to hear me out, consider my pleas. Because a branch plunges into her back. I scream. The sound rips my throat raw, managing to turn hundreds of heads in my direction. I can't look away, can't see anything but the blood blooming across her back. The branch pierces straight through her to protrude from her chest and the beautiful heart beating there. When her knees hit the sand, mine meet the concrete. Tears slide over my skin as I watch Peyton fall to the ground beside her. Watch her cradle that head of curls, cling to her broken body. It hurts to not be holding her. My heart aches and my vision blurs. The box in my pocket grows heavy against my chest, right above the mangled heart beating beneath. The needle will never have the pleasure of being held by her, and neither will I, not ever again. I can barely hear Peyton's desperate shouts through the persistent ringing in my ears, but I keep my eyes trained on her, not daring to look away until she's truly left me forever. Her eyes are trained on the sky. I picture those big hazel eyes that I love to fall on me, and choose to remember them that way. The sights are now focused on her, displaying her death clearly on the screen above for all to see. I cover my mouth with a trembling hand, attempting to smother my sob. She blinks slowly at the sky above, her eyelids growing heavier with each one. She's counting the stars. I break. All of me, every inch of my being shattering at the realization. Sobs shake my body as I clutch the bars of the railing, my legs trembling atop the concrete. It's a good thing I cut her bangs. The crooked strands kiss her forehead, allowing those hazel eyes clear view of the stars. The stars she now counts for the last time. I weep, unashamed, for her. For the girl who shines so bright that the sun pales in comparison. For the girl who I was helplessly tripping into. For the girl who deserved a happy ending. Just count the stars, Dina. I choke out the words, whisper them on the wind that will carry her soul far away from me. Just count the stars. I count right along with her. 1, 2, 3. Only I'm counting down the seconds until I get to see her again. 4, 5, 6. I'll count until I'm up in the sky beside her. 7, 8, 9. And I suddenly wish that second would come sooner. 10, 11, 12. I feel her power flicker and fade. And then I watch her die. Watch the life drain from her dark skin, steal the light from her eyes. The connection snaps. Her ability slips between my fingers, leaving me cold and shaking without its comfort. And I'll never feel it again. Never feel her again. 13, 14, 15. When Peyton's hand sweeps over her eyes, shutting out the world for eternity, I stand and stumble down the path with shaky legs. 16, 17, 18. Tears blur my vision. Anger burns my blood. I turn down a concrete tunnel leading to the world beyond. A world without her. A world she is no longer in. And I'm not sure I can live in that world. 19, 20, 21. My sobs echo off the walls, drowning out the cheers from inside the bowl. It should have been me. I wish it was me. 22, 23, 24. They are cheering, cheering as if a sliver of the sun hadn't just burned out before them. 25, 26, 27. When my feet meet the path outside and my face is thoroughly doused in sun, I fall to my knees once again. I clutch the vest around me, pulling at the perfectly straight seams holding it together. 28, 29, 30. Never again will I get to admire her while she sews. My head falls into my hands, collecting hot tears on my palms. Then I'm running my fingers over the vest again, tracing every bit that her fingers graced. 31, 32, 33. My heart stutters at the feel of raised thread beneath the pocket. I don't need to look at it to know what it says. Don't need to read the words to have more tears rolling down my cheeks. See you in the sky. I look up, choking back a sob. 34, 35, 36. The sun drenches me in warmth, coats me in comfort. It's soothing, gentle, soft. I smile sadly, laugh despite the tears still staining my skin. And there she is, outshining everyone. In a way, she's always been the sun, always the brightness that existed despite the presence of such darkness. 37, 38, 39. Thanks for picking the closest star, Dina. I take a shaky breath. 40, 41, 42. Looks like you'll be around to keep me company.
Chapter 23. Adina. In the end, it was all light and dark, loud and soft. I knew nothing but the memory of those I loved. One, a friend, the other, unfinished. And that alone is what I took with me into the next life. But I watched, warm and bright and high above, just as he promised.